Hi, I'm Ray with RacerMate. I want to welcome you to our RacerMate CompuTrainer booth here at Interbike, where we're going to give you some valuable information on our CompuTrainer product as well as the Velotron. But this is a great product for those of you who are training for any type of race. The one thing that sets the CompuTrainer apart from every other trainer out there is that we focus, and have done so from the entire beginning of our company, on cycling-specific physics. And what we mean by that is when you are out riding on a bike, your physical weight has a huge impact every time you accelerate and every time you're climbing uphill. It's dramatic. And so what we do is we take your height, weight, and we put that into your rider profile so that when you're doing up, for example, a 5% grade hill, as close to exactly matches what it would feel like if you're literally out on the road on a 5% grade hill. So that allows you to do training on very specific race courses for races that you're going to do, and you can strategize that way and do all sorts of different tactics on the CompuTrainer, knowing that all of the data that you've accumulated and the strategy that you have decided you're going to employ in the race, all of that data is going to match exactly what you see out on the road. And no other company does anything quite like that. Everyone else, while wattages may be correct, if it doesn't translate into the real world, into a race scenario, it's not really nearly as useful. Okay, basically this is our Spinscan pedal analysis. So what we're seeing here is the power split shows how much his left and his right leg are doing. Right now he's perfectly 50-50 was what you want. And then we have our average torque angle, which is the red line here. What that does is you're supposed to be able to put out the most amount of power when each forward foot is at 90 degrees. So basically when your pedals are level, so your left foot at 90 degrees should put out the most power it can, and same thing with the right. So he's a bit off there. These are possibly a bike fit issue. He might need some stretching exercises to basically be able to position himself on the bike correctly. These are all things that bike fitters and coaches will help you with. And then the Spinscan numbers, that's actually like your pedaling efficiency. Your goals, if you've heard of the pedaling circles, is that you want to, as your forward foot is pushing down, you want your back foot to pull up, ideally with the same amount of power. If he was actually able to do that, he'd see numbers here close to 100. Most, like world-class Tour de France type riders, they're just naturally into the 90s. Most people are much lower than that. He's doing actually very consistent in the mid-60s, so that's actually pretty good. And what this does, though, is by focusing on your Spinscan and your pedal analysis, it starts to build memory muscle. So if you do a lot of training, and the Spinscan graph can actually be imposed on our other courses, but by doing your training rides and because you're mentally focusing on I've got to pull up, because it's not natural for most of us, is that you start to train your muscles to actually do that. So after a period of time, you just start doing that naturally. So then you don't have to, when you're out on the road, obviously you don't need to focus. You've got a lot of things to focus on. You don't really need to be worried about your pedaling efficiency. What we're doing at this point in time is that we are allowing developers to write their own software applications for use with the CompuTrainer. This is the first time we've ever done this. We've always traditionally done our own software. There have actually been a couple of companies that have sort of reverse engineered what we do, but they don't get it correct. And they've kind of become somewhat popular. So rather than have them out there with people on CompuTrainers using software that's not doing the physics correctly, we've decided to go ahead and say, okay, if you guys are going to have the software and it is popular, we're going to open it up to you so that the people who are using your software and our CompuTrainers are at least doing everything correctly. We'd rather have the users know that they're getting everything they can out of the CompuTrainer. So we're hoping that this really kind of blossoms into a big thing and get us back to focusing on the hardware, which is what we do best. Since we're the only one, obviously, that has the physics down, and let other people do what they do best and create some much more variety of software for the CompuTrainer users. One of the software applications that we offer is called RealCourseVideo, and what we do is we go out on courses during race day, which is the only time you can safely start a course and film it from start to finish without any interruptions. And so you also get the riders. This that we see on the screen over there is the New York City Triathlon. So we have a number of those, and we're continuing to film more of those. And it's a great way to actually preview the race course, not just physically and training-wise and knowing what the course feels like, but visually you have all the cues most races rarely make any changes to where they place the aid stations, the feed stations, and so on. So it's a great way to be able to preview the course without actually being there. I just wanted to thank you for stopping by and showing some interest in CompuTrainer. You can find out a lot more detailed information on our website at www.racermateinc.com.